Do you have a tendency to procrastinate? Would you like to find out some top tips that you can implement today to stop procrastination? Today, I'm interviewing expert Jessie Holmes from Canada on how to beat procrastination. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome back to Alison McQuinney podcast, where we have conversations about business and well-being success. I'm delighted to welcome to the podcast Jessie Holmes, who's joining me from Windsor, Ontario in Canada. And Jessie is an expert on how to beat procrastination. Now, whichever business you're in, whether you own your own business or you're working for somebody else, how to beat procrastination is an extremely useful skill to learn and to have. So, to give some background on Jessie, he helps high performers achieve their goals in 6 months without procrastination or overwhelm. He has been an entrepreneur since he was 16 years old and, as I said, lives in Windsor, Ontario. So, Jessie, a very warm welcome to the podcast. And perhaps we could start off by understanding procrastination. What exactly is procrastination and why do we do it?
That's a great question. Thanks for having me, Allison. I appreciate you having me here. That was an excellent intro. Thank you. So, according to research at Harvard University, procrastination has nothing to do with laziness, has nothing to do with poor time management, but there's actually a couple other factors that it's linked to. Things like perfectionism, overwhelm, a fear of failure, maybe some self-doubt or lack of confidence, something called analysis paralysis, where you don't know where to start or you have a lack of clarity. These are all contributing factors to why we don't take action when we should.
So those are some key psychological causes of procrastination that you've mentioned right there. So how do you get started when you feel zero motivation to do so?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. Maybe I could quickly show you a little bit how my magic works if you don't mind me asking you a
Absolutely.
couple questions. All right, I'm going to ask you one question to start, and then we're going to have a couple follow-up questions if that's okay.
Okay.
Okay. First question is, what would you say has been your biggest struggle with achieving your goals lately?
I would say that I'm very keen to get a lot done and a lot is coming in, so it's managing the diary sometimes. Um, I would say that I am achieving a lot and I am getting a lot of work done, so I'm not slowing down on that, but I always want to do more.
So just the amount of things that you want to try and get done.
Yeah.
Very good. When it comes to, the amount of things that you're trying to get done, would you say there's anything you've been procrastinating on lately?
No, not really. I've been full steam ahead recently.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Is there anything that you wish you had more time or energy to do on that list?
Because I'm in a business startup mode, I'm just keen to get going, get going, get going, and to really build the business. So I move out of startup and to a more established place. And that desire, that intention is what is really fueling me.
Is there anything that you wish that is holding you back from achieving that goal that you're hoping to achieve?
I don't think so.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What is the one thing, what is the highest leverage activity you would say is in your business? The thing that if you do consistently would have the greatest impact on your life and business?
So I think it would be the retreat side of my business. And we've got our first retreat coming up later this month, and it's fully booked.
No, lovely.
So it will be doing more retreats. So I'm going to use that first retreat very much as feedback before I go mad booking lots of them and sort of tailor future retreats based on customer feedback, how I feel it goes. Um, but actually, the podcasting in itself is a very good way of marketing because you get to know people who are not already on your radar.
Yeah, that's excellent. That's excellent. So when it came to booking more retreats in the future, was there any like sticking points or anything that was really uh, the the thing that you wish you had either more time to do or you could do more consistently, or what would you say was some of your sticking points when it came to booking more retreats?
So I think it's about having enough time in the diary to go and do site visits,
Mm,
retreats that are a little bit further away. So you're
hmm.
looking at possibly booking a day out by the time you travel down there and really look at the venue in detail. So before I book any event or retreat, I always do a site visit and I always pace the venue. And sort of in my mind, I'm checking for suitability, checking for any possible glitches, how it is going to work, how it's going to flow.
I love that. So do you wish you had more time to do these site visits? Is
Yeah,
that something on the
yeah,
radar?
yeah. But because I'm running my first one this month, it's not urgent at this point because I want to get feedback from that
Hmm.
first retreat. I
Hmm.
mean, I
Hmm.
think I've done everything well, along with the person I'm organising it with, but customer feedback is key. And,
Absolutely.
I always think it's good to um, ask customers how it works from their end. So we might think we've got it right, but have we? And quite often your customers will give you feedback and fresh ideas of other things you could do as well.
I love that. Absolutely love that. So the next question I have is once you get that feedback from and you're wanting to either book more site visits or you wish you had more time to take a look at those sites, my challenge for you would be asking yourself what is the least amount of time you could enjoyably spend every single day to get one step closer to achieving those site visits without burning out.
So I think it's about sensibly pacing the site visits so that I'm not dashing around the UK like mad, um, and appreciating that if I'm driving a little bit further, that traveling is going to make me feel tired.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
And that if I tire myself out with that, then I'm not going to be at my peak when I come back to the desk to do more routine things.
Excellent. Excellent. So my challenge for you then would be to try to carve out a few minutes a day to do easily and enjoyably do more research like on a consistent basis so that when you are doing and spending that time going to the site visits, you have a much more higher chance that it's going to be a good site visit because of the consistent prep work that was done before having to actually go to the site
Yeah.
visit.
Did I
So
pass?
you did incredibly well. Absolutely. So a lot of what I teach is what I call my 3E method. What I like to do is whatever that goal that we're, struggling to achieve, whatever the thing that we may be procrastinating on or we wish we had more time to do or more energy to do, I like to make it easy, enjoyable, and make sure it's something I can do consistently every single day to build that momentum, to build that capacity to be able to do the thing without burning out or without having these, I need a whole bunch of energy to do the thing and then I need to recharge. It's about setting a nice, like you said, pacing and
Mm,
making it consistent as possible in those little steps so that we're not burning out and getting overwhelmed.
mm. A practice I do daily, at the start of the day and at the end of the day as well, is I meditate.
I love that.
And I find just getting into that space of calm and emptying your mind, particularly if you've had a frantic day for whatever reason, can just help reset yourself, I find.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Those are all very key things to preventing you from one, burning out, and from making sure that you can keep taking consistent action because you're making sure you're returning to that calm place, that you're not overwhelming your nervous system. So there's not these fear blocks in your mind saying, oh, I need more energy, I need more time, I need more whatever to do this because you're making sure that you have a nice, consistent rhythm of staying calm. I love that.
Mm. What's your advice if somebody is paralyzed with fear and the fear of failing, which could perhaps fuel their procrastination because they don't want to come across as stupid or a failure? Um, and also, if failure actually happens, what's your advice for overcoming that?
Oh, that's such a fantastic question. That's probably one of the biggest fears that most entrepreneurs and high performers have is, what if this doesn't work? I put all this time, all this energy, all this money and effort. Now I'm going to look like a fool in front of my friends and family. What do I do? How do I keep going? How do I overcome that? The biggest thing for me, I find, is making sure that one, I don't take failure personally, that it's my mentor, it's my guide, it's how I learn, it's how I succeed. There is no success without failure. Failure is if I just give up and don't do anything.
Mm,
And another thing is making sure that I don't spend so much time, energy, and effort into something, trying to make it absolutely perfect. And then when it doesn't work, I'm just completely wiped out and gutted and like, oh, now how am I supposed to start again? So it's about breaking it down into those easy, small steps and trying to make a safe failure every single day consistently so that I can adjust and get feedback from. So
mm.
I'm not taking it so personally and it's not taking such a hit to my nervous system and my ego because it's like, hey, I'm expecting to fail today. It's okay I failed today because I'm consistent. I'm going to fail again tomorrow and the next day, but each failure is going to take me one step closer to my goal.
I think also what I have learnt is that your own perception of not getting it right might not be other people's perceptions of not getting it right. So I can give an example of this podcast. So you do your best to get it right. And I actually went on a course before launching the podcast on how to do it properly.
Mhm.
And I can remember one episode, I was interviewing somebody who lives in the country and you try to have a quiet background.
Mhm.
And first of all, we had a pigeon in the chimney cooing. Then two local cockerels joined in, and then the dog started barking. And I thought, I've got Old MacDonald's farmyard here. And I managed to get some of it out, but not all of it with the dubbing. And I thought, oh crikey, this is not how I would do it, but let's go with it anyway. People loved it. And
Yeah.
I think the reason people loved it was because it showed we're human at the end
Mhm.
of the day. And they just loved I mean, it's a silliness. You couldn't
Mhm.
script
Mhm.
it. They
Mhm.
weren't
Mhm.
invited, but they came anyway.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, sometimes that authenticity is good and key. And like you said, people perceive like we perceive failure as so much greater because we spent so much time, energy, and effort to try to achieve the thing that didn't work and now we're all upset. Whereas to somebody else, they don't see that time, energy,
Yeah,
and effort. And they're not even thinking about them. They're thinking about themselves. They're not thinking about the energy that you're putting into the result. They're just more impressed that you're actually doing the thing.
yeah. I think it's so easy, isn't it, to compare ourselves with other people and to look at people who are genuinely very good in their field, but they will also have had their bad days where everything went pear-shaped. They will also have had to overcome, quote, failures. And that's probably why they're where they are, because they overcame them and they
That's
used them
right.
as a stepping stone to their future growth and learnt by them. And I think it's important to realize that everybody fails at some point.
That's right. That's right. Even so, I love this one quote is the expert or the master has failed more times than the beginner has even tried.
Yeah. And the key thing is to keep going.
That's right.
Yeah. Um, we all have bad days where we don't feel we've achieved as much as we would
Mm,
like.
mm,
I think for some people emotionally that can knock them off their balance a
mm,
bit, and it's a bit difficult to get back on to the back of the horse. What's
mm,
your advice when people feel they've had one of their underperforming days for
mm.
getting back into peak performance again?
I love that. So I find that that is a result of not having a consistent expectation of what we can do sustainably over time. When it comes to, we have an expectation of, oh, I expected to get so much more done today. I didn't. I must be a failure. And that kind of snowball into the next day. You're getting out of that rhythm, and then you
Yeah,
get into this mindset of like, oh, I can't do this, or all the negativity, right? I like to reshift that frame to understand, okay, what is my daily minimum? What is the thing that if I got done today, I would be proud of myself no matter what else happened? And if I can get into the rhythm of I check off my daily minimum every single day, I'll actually end up building my capacity, and my expectation for what success and failure is completely different because I just said, if I get this one thing done today, I'll be happy. And I make sure I do that thing every single day. And now I can stack the wins, build consistency, and next thing you know, my capacity and my expectations for success is so much greater over time.
And in doing that, what do you do if unexpected things come in that you have to deal with, and so therefore maybe can't get to your agenda as quickly as you would like, or even through your original agenda?
Yeah, I love that. So what I have with my to-do list is not optional. It's not a wish list. It's not a this would be so nice if I got this done today. It's like, nope, if this is on my list, this is getting done. And if I have something on my to-do list that's not getting done 1 or 2 days in a row, I either need to shrink it and make it easier to get started on it, or I need to make it more enjoyable to get over that hump so I'm not, trying to push or grind or try to convince myself to do the thing. I like to be able to be pulled towards my completion of my tasks instead of having to push myself there. So if I'm not getting it, check off the list. Maybe I need to make it smaller, easier, maybe of only a few minutes instead of the hours I thought I had to chunk off to take care of it. Or I make it more enjoyable. Can I do this while I'm having my morning coffee or after I've gone for a walk or tie something into it that's something I naturally enjoy? And that gives me the dopamine and that feel good thing to actually start making progress on achieving the things. And if I take care of those early or first, all the other fires that I need to put out can come later because I know I've gotten the one thing done today.
Yeah. And sometimes I find that I will do the quickest and easiest task first because then I feel I've achieved something already. And then I develop the time for the more complicated task where I need to sit down for a longer period of time. But I feel I've already achieved something during the day. And that
Yeah,
just puts my mindset to keep going. How do you avoid burnout?
oh man, that's such a good question. No, no, I don't wish burnout on my worst enemy. I went through a absolute terrible time for about 5 years with burnout. It took me at least that long just to recover. It was in the thickness of stress and anxiety. I had migraines every day. I completely ruined my gut health, my relationships, my life. I was a shell of a human being. I hardly had the ability to take out the garbage and on the weekday. It was just such a terrible place to be in. The big mindset shift change I recommend for everybody is understanding if you're relaxing or taking some time to rest and your brain is telling you that you're lazy or you need to be doing more, those are signs that you're heading towards a burnout. Because what we need to do is be really careful in interpreting how we think and how we feel. And a lot of the times I was thinking this symptom, the way that I was feeling meant that I needed to try harder and go faster and put the pedal to the metal. When really my brain was trying to tell me, like, look, you're spinning your tires, you're going too hard, you're going too fast. You need to pump the brakes a little bit, slow down, and maybe take some rests on a consistent basis to kind of reset because burnout is a habit. Burnout comes from being overwhelmed too much, and being overwhelmed on a consistent basis is what eventually learns to burn out. So, understanding that if I'm spinning my tires and I'm being overwhelmed, that's not a sign to keep going. That's a sign that I need to slow down, take a break, take a rest, and let my brain reset and focus on the things that are really important instead of trying to get everything done at once.
And I find that because obviously my background is a healing background, rest is so very important for your health. But also, I think if you're feeling tired, actually stop
Hmm.
and have a sleep. Because
Hmm.
if you have a proper sleep, you'll wake up feeling re-energized with much more energy to really start whizzing through things. Whereas if you carry on feeling really, really tired, you're probably going to be much slower and make mistakes
That's
in
right.
that
That's right.
tiredness. What would you say is the best mindset for success?
This mindset I had hammered into my last mentor who helped me grow my last business up to 8 figures in sales. He said the four parts to success is focus, commitment, taking action, and never giving up.
Yeah, those are all really good tips. Um, do you have specific time management techniques that you use to avoid procrastination?
So I have what I like to call, I mentioned earlier, my daily minimum,
Yeah.
my must-do list that I take care of every single day. Because I find myself that life can be so unpredictable that if I try to plan, I need to do this by this time and this amount of time, if something throws me off track, it's so easy to have that procrastination multiply and be like, oh, I didn't do it. So I want to get into the habit of making sure I do the thing no matter what and getting rid of the excuses in order to do something and building the habit of every day I take care of this no matter what. So many times people say, I have the intention to do this. And if they don't meet it perfectly that they expected, then they start delaying, they start putting it off, and they start finding excuses for why they can't do it. It's
Mm.
so, so important to find that easy, enjoyable task that I can make sure I do every single day to build that consistency and build that momentum.
And the energy that you use in your excuses, you could be putting to better use in actually getting it done, I think.
That's right. That's right.
Um, one thing that I think is interesting is how you achieve balance in life and still get all the work done. So by life, I mean all the different aspects of your life. So not just work, but
Mhm,
it could be your personal relationships at home with your
mhm,
partner or your husband, wife, children. It could be keeping fit as well. It could be your spiritual life. Um, I think that people who are very driven about work can tend to put too
mhm,
much energy into their work at the
mhm,
expense of other areas of their life. And they
mhm,
don't procrastinate in their work necessarily, but they
mhm,
procrastinate in other areas of their life and don't
mhm.
realize until it's too late, maybe. What tips do you have for getting that balance?
I love that question. So I find true high performers, true successful people have that balance. They're not just, oh, I have a lot of money in the bank, but I have no relationship with my wife and kids, or my health and wellness is completely off. I find that success needs to be completely holistic. And
Mm,
so for me, when I talk about achieving your goals, it's not just that dollar amount figure. It's the perfect daily, your ideal average perfect day. Because I fully believe in living every single day of it as if it's my last. And
mm,
so I like to have a little bit of all of my favorite things that I do every single day. It's not just work obsession. It's when it comes to my relationship with my wife, I have a daily minimum task that I have to do with my wife every single day. I make sure I check in with her, I make sure I spend time with her, and I make sure that's on my must-do list. And when it comes to my relationship with my son, I have a daily minimum. I said I have to give him 10 focused minutes every single day of whatever he wants to do and play with. And I make sure I check that off my list. I have it with my health and my nutrition, with my fitness and my health goals, with my hobbies and my interests, and in my work goals. I have a daily minimum for every single aspect of my life. So I'm making sure that I'm growing completely as a person, not just I'm growing here but sacrificing here. And at some point, those you're gonna have to pay the dues there at some point. And
mm.
so I like to grow holistically all at once with having a daily minimum, a daily target every single day with every area of my life.
That is such an excellent answer because I think people become very focused on their to-do list for work, but
Mm,
they don't have to-do lists for other areas of their life. And they don't necessarily diarize go to the gym in their diary.
mm, mhm, mhm,
I tend to use a diary where I put everything in, work,
mm,
going to for me it's swimming, but going for a
mhm.
swim, meeting up with friends, so that everything is in there, and I can work out what time I need for each.
I love that.
But it gets prioritized because it's in my diary.
I love that. That's
And I
great.
think that's so important to have that work-life balance, but full experience of life, even
Mm,
if you really, really enjoy your work, which I do,
Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
which is why I'm so driven. But it's important
Mhm.
to step back, I think, sometimes as well. Um, do you have any apps or tools you use to reduce procrastination in this high digital age?
Yeah, absolutely. My favorite app is a free app. It's called TickTick. It's just like a reminders app, but
Yeah.
it's not just the app itself, but it's the way I use it. It's the way I set my I call them personal prompts. Everyone has like your Chat GPT AI prompts. Well, I have my own human brain prompts. And so these are things that I have on my list every day that don't ever change, that so that it removes the decision overwhelm of what am I going to do and when. These are just simple prompts of uh, do this and do that. So, like I said, like 10 minutes a day with my son, or, um, one push-up a day, or read one word of a book a day. Like I have these simple, easy little prompts that I put every single day on my to-do list, and I just make sure I get them done and check them off every single day.
And do you have a particular environment that you like to set up that helps your focus, particularly if you work at home?
Yeah, so I've worked at home pretty much my whole life. I had an office for a couple of years and I hated it and I moved back home.
Hmm.
But yeah, environment is so key for
Mm,
success, especially when it comes to distractions and excuses for why I don't do this, that, or the other thing. Um, and what I like to do is I like to structure my daily minimums, my daily tasks with the mindset of, can I do this anywhere? Like if I'm on vacation, if I have to stay overnight at a hotel, am I still able to make sure I take these tasks done every single day? And that really gets rid of the excuses of, oh, I can't work out today because I don't have the gym or the weights. No,
mm.
I can do a push-up every single day no matter where I am. Or, every single one of my things comes with the contingency plan of I should be able to do this anytime, anywhere, every single day.
And in terms of work, if you come across an obstacle that isn't of your setting, but quite often we work with other people and those people might put an obstacle in our way, how do you deal with that?
How to do with when other people are the obstacle?
Yes.
That's a great question. So I think the first thing is to understand what is the most important, highest leverage, highest impact activity that I should be focused on first and foremost, and making sure I'm taking care of my side of the street first and foremost
Yep.
before getting on somebody else and what they're trying to do. A lot of the time, when you deal with overwhelm or procrastination, it's so easy to be a control freak and want to make micromanage every little spot. I think that's a symptom of just not knowing what's my unique ability, where's my focus should be. Because when I take care of that first and foremost, one that lowers my stress levels of making sure that they're doing their job perfectly or they're not getting in the way, because I know that I've taken care of my things, my high leverage activities are taken care of, and that just takes the burden mentally and physically and emotionally for how I deal with other people. But if I'm expecting them to do a better job than me or to do the things that I should be doing or whatever have you, that's where the disconnect and the struggle can come in.
Yeah. Do you keep a list of your successes as you're going along?
So I like to, one of my daily minimums is I replay a highlight reel in my brain every single morning of a recent win. I'll just play back a win in my head and just relive that winning feeling every single day. That trains my brain and my subconscious for what success is and what it feels like, because I'll know, am I heading in the direction of that winning feeling or am I off course?
Yeah. I like to make a list of what I feel I've succeeded at
I
so
love that.
that when I feel a bit discouraged for whatever reason, I look at that list and think, well, actually, you've done far more than you're
Mm.
remembering. It just helps reset and off I go again. Um,
I love that. I love that. Thank you.
so, in summary, can we just go through and summarize the proven actionable steps that people can take today to overcome procrastination?
Absolutely. I break this all down in what I call my one-page action planner. You can get it on my website at effortlessgrowth.co, but I'll walk you through that real quick. First question is ask yourself, what's been the biggest struggle with achieving your goals lately? And if it's consistency or focus or whatever it is, identify what that thing is, the biggest struggle. The second step you need to do is ask yourself, is there anything that I've been, procrastinating on, delaying on, putting away in the back of my mind that I should be probably taking action on, identifying what that is? And then what I like to do is, okay, what is the least amount of time I can enjoyably spend every single day to take me one step closer to my goal without burning out? So I build in sustainability, enjoyability, and ease into my daily practice. So I break it down. If it's maybe just 10 minutes a day, 5 minutes a day, maybe even just 1 minute a day, just to get me started in a way that is easy to me, is something that I absolutely enjoy. And it's something I know that I could stick to consistently day in and day out without burning out. Even if things are good or things are bad, I make sure I do this every single day.
Wonderful. And how can people find out more about you and your work and engage with you if they want more of this?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd highly recommend everyone grabs my one-page action planner. It's at
Yeah,
effortlessgrowth.co. Once you can download a copy of that planner, I'll invite you to follow me on Facebook every single day at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I go live on Facebook helping high achievers achieve their goals without procrastination or overwhelm.
lovely. Jesse, it's been really lovely chatting with you today. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. And it's been a really insightful conversation that I think will be extremely helpful to people who view this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Allison.